Mark Wood's going off.
Yeah, no, Root gets back, so Wood's definitely run out. Because you'll see it on the replay. If Root had stayed out of his ground, he would have been run out. But he got back and put his bat in at a non-striker's end. So it means that Mark Wood's run out. Shame that. It's been a great test, isn't it? Right, hell, Norman, it's a great test.
We've actually started too. So, hi everyone. This is Norman Kochnick here. Eyes on Cricket. So with Norman Kochnick, we're here, and already Redfern and I have been chatting about the match because Mark Wood has just been run out. Very close. It could well have been Root. But Root's still there. And of course, England have got a slender but a very significant lead of 7 runs at this point in time, solely on the back of an amazing performance by Joe Root. Clearly, had he gotten out earlier, we would be looking at potentially an actual lead, anything up to 100 runs, potentially of India. So it's quite a significant innings, and you'd almost have to pencil in Joe Root as man of the match, even though the match is not even close to being over. This is tremendous. It's significant. Psychologically, it's certainly, I don't think it's damaged India, but it certainly will have affected them. Maybe a little bit disappointed with their situation, considering. David Gow had earlier spoken about, he thinks that, I don't think even Mike Atherton were talking about the fact that the game swings in England's favour. It's a fair point, but it's not that conclusive at this point, but it's a fair point. I think also India will rue not having Ashwin on the side, personally. What do you think, Reg?
I think that it puts India in a harder position because I think England are much less likely to lose the game from here. For England to lose it, India would either have bowled out and or declare and then have enough time to bowl England out. And with 2 days left, I can't see India declaring anywhere short of 250 in front, which is going to take them, all day tomorrow at best. And would they declare and leave England 250 to win on the last day? I doubt it. So they would. It would be difficult, not impossible. Don't get me wrong, but it's less likely that England lose from this position. But India still could lose because they could get bowled out tomorrow for 100 and 130, 150. I don't think they will, but they could do. So it puts England in a stronger position. We've got someone watching Robin Singh. I haven't seen his name before. Hello, Robin. Nice to see you. I don't think many people in world cricket would say that watching Root score 100 is a torturous affair. I think he's one of the more graceful and more attractive players to watch. Obviously, he's not a smasher and a thrasher of the ball, but boy, he plays some lovely shots, and he usually goes at a nice strike rate for a world. In fact, he's not unlike Kohli with his strike rate, I would guess, and some of his shot play. I find the comment he's tortuous, Norman. I don't get that.
Well, it's torturous. It's torturous for someone who's not from England, to be really honest with you.
Maybe.
Why it's torturous? Because your team is being put in this position to be now possibly in a negative situation. I understand that, even though I don't think his batting is torturous, as you say. But interestingly, though, he's not one of the major players in the short form of the game, is he? Cook.
Well, he averages 50 in one-day cricket and can't get in the side. He's averaging
but ironically, but still, you'd think he should be the first person to be selected in a lot of ways, being the captain. But anyway.
Well, in short form, of course, England have gone another way, Norman, haven't they? They decided to go all guns blazing, and Root doesn't quite fit in the side. But we've talked about this. I think India have got the same problem with Kohli in the 2020 side. I think that's why Kohli's going to be opening the batting, because they can't see a route to get him in the side at 3, 4, or 5 in their 2020 side. So the only place he's got is to open, where he's got a little bit more time maybe just to push it around. But I don't think it'll last for long. I think India will, with the quality they've got with Sky and Shaw and the other guys they've got already in there, Sharma and everything, I don't see Kohli. I think it's changing. The mindsets are changing, and they want to go for it more and more up at the top and keep going. I think sides want to keep going for it. So that's just my opinion. Oh dear. I think there's a no, maybe not. I thought it was out.
No, but okay. But having said that, though, Coley is the leading run scorer of any player in the T20 format. So for him not to be in the side is a remarkable suggestion.
I'm talking about balance and strike rates and things like that, Norman. That's all.
There.
I don't deny he's a great player. I think Joe Root's a great player as well. In that average 50 in one-day cricket is phenomenal as well. But I just wonder if sides are slightly changing their mindset.
What's going on here? Bumrah's asking for the system review.
Well, no, I think Jimmy's saying it hit him on the head, not on the glove. It's gone off his helmet. I think the peak of his helmet, by the look of it, but they're suggesting that it hit his glove first, which it didn't. I've just got I'm a bit ahead of you, probably, Norman. We've got it's hit him straight on the helmet. That'll liven him up.
He's lucky that he's lucky that it didn't hurt him, actually.
Also, you've got to bear in mind, and I've got to say, Norman, that this morning I thought the show was excellent. To have David Graveney, I couldn't have added anything to what he was saying because he took such a lot of sense and with such intelligence. It was compelling watching. I've got to say he was brilliant. And a point he made this morning, I'll just re-emphasise now. So this is me nicking his point. There's some big overs gone in the Indian seamers today, and I think Gill said the same thing, that they are going to have to at some stage rotate their bowling a little bit because this is a hard old day of Test cricket for them, isn't it?
Certainly is. I mean, including Anderson as well. I mean, he's going to have to be rotated.
Yeah,
so, I thought it was interesting. I was just talking a minute ago about batting averages of 50, over 50. Now, Root's just ticked over. Thank you. Root's just ticked over 50 in terms of batting average.
Oh, that's excellent.
The only one who's in the top 10 who's got a batting average of 50. It's only the likes of, I think it's Barrington and I think Hutton and I think there's another one, and Len Hutton and Barrington and Hobbs are the only ones that have got over 50. Barrington's the only one post-war that's got a batting average of over 50. But in the top 10 England batsmen in terms of runs scored, Root is the only one over 50. At this point, he's just ticked over 50 now. I don't know if he gets out, whether that drops back down.
It probably would, wouldn't it? It probably would because it would count as an extra innings.
Yeah.
But the way he's playing this year, Norman, Crumbs is going to win Player of the Year. I would have thought. I don't see anyone can get anywhere near him this calendar year because there's not a lot of. There is Test cricket, obviously, but there's not a lot. Hi, Bram.
Hi, Norman. Hi,
Bram. How are you?
I'm very well. Root's got an amazing pitch map here. Wagon wheel. He's basically hit nothing straight at all for 170 runs. He's just worked through extra cover, mid wicket, and around.
Well, a lot through slip and through.
But he plays that, Norman. That's a shot. He's playing that.
No, but hang on. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, but it is a shot, a go-to shot, especially at Lords because of the downward slope of the wicket, especially at one end. That it's an easy area for runs, and quite frankly, I don't think they have a fieldsman. I think I'd almost have a fieldsman there from ball one.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a shot he plays. He just guides it down through sort of fifth slip, doesn't he? As almost a late cut.
It's not a late cut. It is a not an edge, but it is an angle shot.
He plays it. Yeah, he plays it. If only Dom Sibley could learn to do that, Norman, and just take himself a single and rotate the strike around, he'd be a doubly good, better player, wouldn't he? You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real. I mean, Bairstow was particularly impressive with his batting. Moeen Ali was reasonable. So was Sankaran. They were all reasonable.
Oh,
but the key.
Sorry, Sankaran got a golden duck, Norman. It's not probably the best innings he's ever played.
No, but I mean, but I'm talking generally. Yeah. I'm just talking general. Everybody was reasonable about their partnerships. The the reality is Root's 170. That's literally could well have been a total of 100 plus. Then he could have been in front. He's literally saved the match for him yet again after the previous match. It's a.
Yeah.
It's
I
quite phenomenal.
will give you a little bit of credit, Norman. Although you said England were going to be out for 250, you did say it was dependent on getting Root out. You did say that.
Yeah.
And so when you've got a Coley, a Williamson, a Steve Smith, a Barbara Azam, or a Joe Root, if you don't get them out, they make you pay massively. Whoever country it is, and they really do make you pay, don't they?
What's your thoughts? You've been very quiet there.
Yeah, you all are discussing so well, so I thought better listen to. Rich, why doesn't Root declare now and maybe get to bowl like some overs to the Indian batsman?
I think that he would rather have a 30 to 40 run lead, and then hopefully get the India 2 down before they get parity. Because any lead we have, India's got to score double to get back into credit, haven't they? Every run they score has got to be double to get in front.
While in bat, and if Root's there 170, if he goes on to 200, for example, not that he will, but if he does, it's a saving for doing it later. So no, I agree with.
And of course, any lead we get makes it less likely that we will lose. I'm not saying that India are in trouble. But I think, as I was saying to Norm before you came on, England are less likely to lose now. And as we go further ahead, we're even less likely to lose because India would have to get enough in front to bowl England out a second time. And time would be against them to get enough runs to them bowling. I'm not saying they can't, but they'd have to bat all day tomorrow to get 270, which would give them a lead of, say, 250. And then they'd have a day to bowl England out, which could happen. I just don't.
Look, anything's still possible, really.
Everything.
A result either way is still possible.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
playing well.
The only solace I see being an Indian fan or being an Indian is that at least India clawed back in the last session to at least see that all 3 results are still possible. Otherwise, the way England were going, I think it was easy looking that they would have 100, 150 lead, and from there, definitely there would not be a India win or a India win situation. So, at least as of now, standing at this moment, it looks like all 3 results are possible. Who knows, all 4.
I mean, to me, this is a great test match. I'm really enjoying it. The reality is that there's one incident which we'll talk about in a minute, which has certainly caused some controversy. I mean, the only danger is Anderson. Is he not? He's looking a bit. Is he okay?
Very long
in the chest. Just got a short one in the chest from Bumrah. England.
Okay, I'm going to talk about that incident which has made the news, and I'd like to let me talk this through. I actually did a little video a short while ago about the champagne cork incident. Now, there were several champagne corks that were thrown on the field, and honestly, that was highly irregular and highly unfair. And I don't care what the motivation of the corks being thrown on the field were, whether it was just a bit of frivolity from shooting the corks off. It was extremely poor. And I don't know what they've done with those people, but there'll be video evidence of what they've done. They should have been taken out of the ground.
Were they thrown, Norman, all at once? So I didn't see it at all. I mean, I haven't seen the coverage.
Well, there must be about
7 or 8 corks.
Sorry?
I said there were at least 7 or 8 corks were fallen down over there.
Yeah,
so.
it's one maybe accidentally the cork may come out of the bottle or something, but 7 odd. It was a deliberate attempt to cause some grief, right? Not to hurt anybody necessarily, but it doesn't matter. It's wrong, okay? In this day and age, and the ground, you shouldn't be able to do it. Now, KL Rahul flippantly threw the cork, one of the corks back, but I think that particular cork hit him. Not hard, but it doesn't matter. It's very, very, very wrong. And I don't know what's happened because even Kohli was aware of it and he made comment to KL Rahul down third man. It made a bit of a scene. It's something that's after what happened in Australia with the Siraj set of episodes there against Australia, I don't think it's a very good sign of what happens. And honestly, it's not just, accidental. There's something purposeful about those corks being put on the field. Okay? Now, it's not necessarily highly dangerous, but it is highly irregular. I'm hoping they've actually done something about it. I'm hoping that they've actually taken action.
Uncalled for
those people-
incidents. I think that it happened.
Sorry? What, Brian?
Yeah, I said it was a very uncalled for incident, and I was also like surprised and shocked at the same time that such a thing happened.
I didn't
Now-
see it. Did they actually see the cork get fired out of the bottle, as it were, or was it just that they focused and the cork was there on the grass?
It was more the cork was there on the grass. I don't think they saw the actual incident take place, but there was one last cork that KL Rahul bothered to pick up and throw back because it either hit him or landed in his vicinity as he was standing there. Either way, it's nothing short of deliberate. Okay? If you're popping one cork, oops, it came out. Possible. It's possible, right? But it's very unlikely that several were done in that manner. Okay?
I mean,
And the reaction of the person who was
It
people that were there
depends when it happened.
one stood
So,
up.
I don't know. They might have all got there at tea time, mightn't they? They might have all been thrown on the field at tea time. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's tea time, if the game's in full swing, it was directed at a player. There's no way on earth you can excuse corks being thrown on a cricket field. Okay, in this day and age. Maybe back in the day, things were thrown. There was all sorts of incidents. I'm not talking about that, but today, with the extreme nature of not only just even COVID, right through to any number of things, this just shouldn't be able to happen. We're under strict controls, and I can't believe that you would have a bottle of champagne that close to the field that you could eject onto a field. I think that's a bit incredible too, because a champagne bottle is glass. Okay, forget the cork for a minute. We in Australia would not be allowed anywhere near the field with anything which is glass. Okay, and a champagne bottle with a cork is glass. It's not going to be plastic. I'm pretty sure. And the reality is that's very close to the ground edge, and I'm a bit shocked. I'm a bit shocked. And the reaction of one of the blokes caught the cork and reacted and celebrated the catching of it. You could see that he was not sober. Okay, and he was a bit inebriated. So there's a whole list of problems here, and I don't know what they're going to do, but they should do something about it. I really do.
They'll review the footage, won't they, and see what happened. It's not known as a big issue in our country, and especially at Lords. There's not generally any crowd trouble. It's usually good-natured banter, and so they will look at it. And if there's a problem, they'll sort it. Norman, I'm sure. I'm sure it was nothing.
I'm not saying it's racist at all.
No,
I'm talking about the sheer nature that it shouldn't even happen.
Yeah, it might be. They'd have to review it. I'm sure there are cameras. There's usually stewards about, and if there was a big problem with this happening, I'm sure the stewards would have stepped in as well. I hope it's nothing bad because we don't really have a problem in the UK or in England with problems on our test grounds at all, really. It's not.
Well, you do now because this incident happened.
Yeah, the fans mixed together generally. You haven't got to segregate anyone in England on cricket grounds. Everyone mixes together, and when you see the footage from the ground, you'll see the Indian fans and the English fans.
No, I'm not going down the racist route here. I'm not doing that. I'm just talking about the unruly behaviour, which it was.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be addressed. I'm sure it will. I hope it will. Unfortunately, that's what alcohol does, Norman, isn't it? I don't think anyone should. I think alcohol should be banned. Cheers.
No, right now, this incident and also the incident where that person entered the ground and with the Indian jersey, those two are highly moving in the Indian social media. One is very in a funny way, and the other is getting a lot of disgusting comments and things like that.
Yeah. I'm just not happy with the fact that there's any. What's the word for it? There's perception that there's a problem is my concern. The fact that there were so many corks on a cricket field, okay, is a little bit. I mean, it's even the alcohol side of it. Both Reg and rum. A lot of countries don't, well, Australia's really big on not having alcohol because they used to be one of the worst as well. Cans on the field, the whole thing. But they're so anti that now that my only concern it was a glass bottle of champagne, and if it was the motion of the cork popping from the bottle, that means they've got a bottle in proximity to the ground. What's to have said they couldn't have thrown the bottle on the ground? There's all sorts of innuendo of that. That's all.
Root
I'm
has
just a bit concerned.
scooped Siraj, Norman.
Yeah.
I think that's how you described it. It's not a shot I would never have played because I wasn't good enough. He's got down low and he's just reversed his grip and he's scooped him. Oh, Allah, who does that brilliantly? The England opening bat does it.
Josh Dickweller.
Yeah, Dickweller.
Or Glenn Maxwell or something like that.
I guess you can do that when you're in 170 because you're probably seeing it fairly well. So it's Siraj won't be happy. I'll expect this one to be fairly short somehow. Yeah. It might be.
Was that deliberate?
Oh, Norman, sorry to interrupt you. Root has just smashed him over deep mid wicket off almost one knee. He's gone down almost on one knee, and I smeared it. We would have called it in my day. I think he smeared it over mid wicket for another boundary. So Root's going for it now, with Jimmy getting peppered at the other end. That's an amazing shot.
How long we've got only 7 minutes to play, have we?
I don't know. They'll play to 6:30 if the overs haven't been bowled. So, maximum 7 minutes. The lead now is 24.
Yeah. So the fact is he's doing this because I think he doesn't want to be there in the morning.
Well, I don't know. I think he'd like to get an 80-run lead or a 90-run lead if he can. Norman, to be fair, I think he'll get 150 if he could. Then England.
But isn't he also batting his way because he's got a number 9 batsman, number 10 batsman with him?
And Anderson got hit three times last over with short stuff. So I imagine he sees that he's got a limited time, maybe. Any lead now, if you extend this lead to say 50, that would be, pretty difficult.
So
to
if they've got half an hour to play, they may well be declaring.
Yeah, I don't think they can go on after 6:30, Norman. It's been an uninterrupted day. They can only claim the extra half an hour, which is 6 to 6:30, and that's just to get the overs in. Any play that they lost on previous days are lost to the game. They're not allowed to make it up, unfortunately. They've got to review that, haven't they? If the sun's shining and you're down on overs from a previous day, you should play the overs, shouldn't you? I just don't see why Test cricket is so stuck in the mud.
I'm annoyed with the finding of slow over rates because I don't think that affected the first test at all.
No, it did. I mean, it just got rained off, didn't it? But they're trying to do it, but they're not doing it the right way. They need to work something out that's a better punishment because, as we said before, finding people their match when they're earning $500,000 a year and giving them a fine of $10,000 is nothing. They're not going to worry about that too much, are they? They've got to find.
I'll tell you what. The second innings of India. Now there's got to be no excuses about, in my opinion, Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane. Those three guys have to step up now. If they want to show their worth, it's their time. There has to be some scores, not just Rahul and Rasham. Now India have to show if they want to save this match. There's an edge. What happened there? If they want to win this match, they're gonna have to stand up now because if they go cheaply, India are in deep trouble.
Well, in recent Test history, there was a stat on that shows that the third innings of a match is the most difficult innings to play because you don't know whether you should be setting it up or trying to save or how you should play it. And there's lots of stats in recent history that show that people really muck it up in the third innings.
Well, I'll tell you what. England didn't muck it up in the first match because they got 300 and they needed it badly.
Well, yeah. Well, that's thanks to Root, really, wasn't it? But I mean, the pitch is playing well here. We're starting to deteriorate a little bit, but you couldn't say it's doing too much. It's been at its best today, and you'd expect on day 4 for it to start to deteriorate a little bit more, a little bit of up and down bounce, maybe a little bit of turn, and then day 5 it should start to spin and be harder to bat on. It's been a pretty decent, bit slow maybe, but it's certainly been some good cricket, hasn't there?
Absolutely.
You know, and India's bowlers have given it everything, but keeping them out there, and Shami's now into probably his 5th spell, is good for England, you know, and Sharma and Bumrah all having to keep getting themselves back up and loose again. It's good to get those overs into their legs, you know.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to see the video I put together about the cork? Did you see? I've actually put a video together.
I saw it, Norman.
I haven't seen it. I'm ever so sorry, Norman. I didn't see it yet.
I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of people from other I've done some collaborations with Sri Harsha Cricket and Extra and a few others that have asked me to talk about it, because the thread of, I know there's not an exact relationship to the incident in Australia, but still unruly or bad behaviour is. Whether it's someone shouting out something about Siraj or throwing a cork, it's unruly behaviour, and it's not a good thing. And I hope they don't sweep it under the carpet, because under no circumstances should those corks have been on the field, especially 7 or 8 of them, whatever it was. Okay, it was deliberate. It wasn't accidental.
But you've got to say it does depend how they got on the field.
It doesn't matter. They're on the field. They shouldn't be on the field.
Yeah, but it could have been a waiter clearing drinks and walking with a tray, tripping and dropping. I don't know. I'm just. Do you understand? It really depends how they got there.
Reg, you're that's far fetched.
It is far-fetched, but I.
The report was that people were doing it. The report was that people were doing it.
Tell you what, if it were a waiter that's dropped them accidentally like that, they would have got them off the field within a split second.
Yeah. If someone threw them or fired them out of a bottle at a player on the boundary, then that supporter should be taken, which should get a ban and a fine, and it's unacceptable. And it's,
as I said, if it was one cork, it can happen by an absolute fluke. But several, there's a deliberateness about it. There's not an accidental thing. So.
Yeah. And think about the money that champagne's cost them. A bottle of champagne might be cheap at Lords. That cost them a fortune.
But haven't you got a glass rule at Lords? Haven't you got a glass rule that you can't have glass into the ground? They
don't serve beer in glasses. They have plastic cups. I think they view a champagne bottle as probably a little bit more sturdy and unlikely to break. But I don't know, David.
Well, champagne bottle, it's unlikely to be plastic, put it that way.
Yeah, I've not been. I don't know. No, they wouldn't serve in plastic.
So this
not
is
if you're paying 50 quid a bottle. Yeah, last over.
Anyway, it's something that it's because it was so public and so visible, and even players saw it from like Kohli from the middle of the field, and Rahul actually went to the point of throwing one of them back. It must have either hit him or been in his eye shot or been in front of him for him to do that. It wasn't just random. So
I'm sure they'll ask him, don't you? I'm sure they'll ask the fielder what happened, because there'll be an investigation. There has to be, doesn't there? And it'll be an open. I don't think it will get swept under the carpet. It'll be because India will be asked a question, so it'll be out in public domain, and then they will respond to it.
It is interesting. It is interesting though. They've come to me. Several organisations have come to me to talk about it. But because of the thread to what happened in Sydney, because I was the person that talked on Indian television about Siraj, I took the visuals of the unruly group of people leaving the ground, swearing at the top of their voice, making comment. Not the verbal abuse that happened in the ground, but more what happened out of the ground. It was pretty. I'll tell you what. Honestly, it was vile. I heard it firsthand.
Yeah.
They were directed straight at me. And what they said was full of expletives and directed at race.
Wicket, Norman. End of play. Anderson bowled by Shami. Sorry to interrupt you. So India will be batting first thing tomorrow morning.
So that's the end of the day. They're walking off.
I did not answer. Why didn't Root take that run on the the no ball, fifth ball.
I don't know. I don't know.
Very, very weird. Why would he want Anderson to face Shami?
Yeah. The only good thing here, I would guess, is that there will only be one roller put on the pitch. If England had batted for 5 balls or an over tomorrow morning, they would have rolled it twice, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
England, it would have been rolled before the start, and then India would have got a chance to have it rolled again, which would deaden the wicket, potentially down. Here, they'll only have it rolled just before the start of the play. It shouldn't make too much difference, but I'm sure that Virat would have been happy to have got the roller on it twice.
But look at that. Look at that. Joe Root is not out 180.
Yeah.
Incredible performance. Take that out of the total, 211.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That 250 would have been a lot more than they would have gotten. Honestly, I know you can say other batsmen may have made up for it. They may have, but I actually don't think they would have. I think this would have been a fair. He's literally winning this match on his own back, at least saving the match, if not winning it.
Yeah, 180, 210. Mind you, if you take KL Rahul's 130 out of India's score, they're about the same, weren't they? So it wasn't too much.
But I mean, I think in the context of the game, though, Root's 180 was well beyond even beyond Rahul's.
In my heart of hearts, I actually wanted India to be in a bad position so that these guys step up and they come out, because what I've seen, like when India is in a down and out position, they really come up and do well. So maybe the Pujara, Rane, because looking forward, if India, if the Indian team they feel that if currently the way 3, 4, 5 are going, they're not even getting 50 runs in an inning. Forget winning the series. I don't see them even winning a test match.
I tell you what, India are going to rue not winning the first match or not having the opportunity to win the first match based on the weather, because it's almost given, you would argue, England heart, hasn't it? Really, I mean,
well, they lost 8 for 90 in this game, and I think that will upset them probably as much, because they could have had 450, and then England were well out of the game and probably losing. And that has cost them this game. I'd be surprised if India force a win here, and that's purely because they lost 8 for 90 on a pretty flat track.
But aren't you a bit shocked? Honestly, shocked that England scored 391 in the second innings. Aren't you a little bit shocked?
The way we've been batting, yeah. I mean, but it's the sun was out, fairly flat, and Root's a good player, isn't he? He's in good form. I think he's got nearly 1,400 runs this calendar year now.
Amazing. Considering COVID, that's amazing.
I mean,
no one's near it. No one's near it. I don't think anyone's near 1,000.
I don't know what
Pretty sure no other batsman was near 1,000. No other
I don't
batsman
know
was
what the
near
record
1,000.
is, Norman, for a calendar year, but it's going to be in. I doubt if it's 2,000 runs. So
it's Viv Richards, actually. Viv Richards is the most.
And I don't know. Did he get close to 2,000? Or is that?
He went very close. I think he got. I'm going to guess and say he got 1,750, but I think it's more than that.
Yeah. But if you look at Root has got 5 test matches, hasn't he? Hasn't he got 3 more against India, and then 2 before Christmas against the Aussies?
It's going to be most remarkable that he could do that. Most remarkable.
He could with 10 innings more, potentially 10 innings.
Can Baram, you're a computer. Can you just Google who's scored the most runs in a calendar year? I think it's Richards.
Calendar year means any calendar year.
Yeah.
Oh no, calendar year is January to December.
Mookie.
Are you talking this calendar year, or you're talking any?
Baram, Mookie on the chat has helped us out here. Thank you, Mookie. So Viv scored 1,788 runs in the calendar year. Wow, amazing! Great player.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was Viv Richards, but that that tells me just how good Viv Richards is. Let's be honest. Viv just shows how good Viv Richards, because when Viv scored that 1,788, I can assure you he wouldn't have had more test matches.
No, he would have got a treble 100. He got a treble 100.
It's
Didn't he?
Mohammad Yusuf of Pakistan, 1788. It's Vivian Richards, 1976, 1710.
Is that
Right.
That's Mohammad Yusuf. Well, he's a good player too, wasn't he?
Bookie's actually said he actually has said my bad, so he's right.
Yeah.
He's actually
he was a proper player. That was Johanna, wasn't it? Before he changed his name.
Yeah,
Johanna.
Yusuf Johanna.
Yusuf,
Yeah.
He was a,
So that
he was
means
a lovely
that means that Viv Richards would have been very close. I think he's 750.
1710.
Root could get close, couldn't he? I think he must be nearly 1400. Maybe just in the. He was on 1100 before this innings, 1100 and something. Definitely before this innings. So that will put him close to 1400. Crumbs is another 400 to break the record in potentially 10 innings is well within his grasp.
For sure.
You know what cricket's like, guys.
But how many test matches is that? How many test matches is that?
He's got potentially 5 left. Oh, this year, they had 3 did they have 3 Sri Lanka, 5 in India, 2 against New Zealand, and 2 now against India. Is that about 12? He scored 2 double hundreds in Sri Lanka, 100 against New Zealand, I think, or in India, and 2 against. He scored 5 tons this year. Them have been big ones. 2 double hundreds and 180.
Yeah.
So he's in good nick, I'd say.
Mohammad Yusuf achieved that in 19 innings in 2006.
That's awesome. He was a proper good player, though.
He must have scored some pretty big hundreds. He must have scored some pretty big hundreds in that period.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he was lovely to watch too, wasn't he? He was a lovely player, graceful player to watch.
Mookie is saying he's 1194 at the moment.
Well, plus 180. He was on that. I guarantee he was on that before this innings.
Right.
He was definitely in the 1100s. So that's basically 1200, and so that's 1370, isn't it? Give or take. 13.
So when I look at the situation regarding the score, obviously England are now 27 in front. That's the end of the day's play. The run rate was 3.05. Effectively, the run rate's been just on. I think India had 2.99, so it's been on 3 runs, which is by no means the most brisk of all batting performances, but still pretty steady.
Yeah, but it was brisk before those couple of wickets went down, wasn't it? First 2 sessions, I think, was basically a couple of 100 runs, 200 runs, give or take, in the first 2 sessions.
Yeah.
David
So the reality, it's interesting how we mustn't also forget that Joe Root came out to bat on a hat trick.
Yeah.
Correct.
He could so easily have been out because, as you know, the pressure is enormous on a person coming out in a hat trick, no matter how good a batter you are. Incredible starting point that you'd come out on a hat trick, yet stayed not out 180 at the end of the day's play. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Highly commendable batting by Root, given the situation.
So where are we in the game? What do you think, Baran? India have got to knock off the deficit. How many can they score tomorrow? How many do you think they will score? Can England bowl them out?
And number one question is, what's the weather tomorrow? Because I heard some reports that it might rain in the post-lunch session. Is that true?
I haven't heard it, mate. I'm terrible, aren't I? I'm ever so sorry.
I tell you what, this will be great. This will be great. I love this comment though. It's a positive comment. But imagine the theatre of Virat Kohli coming out and scoring a century. It'd be great to see.
Number one, this guy doesn't know tomorrow is Independence Day, not Republic Day.
Oh, Independence Day is tomorrow, is it?
Yeah.
That'll be quite significant. That'll be great theatre. Now, Root will be knighted. Everybody in bloody England gets knighted after they score. I mean, the whole damn cricket team's...
Not you, Norman. You haven't been knighted.
I mean, for God's sake, you don't... I'm sorry. To be called a sir because you play cricket, I'm sorry. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't get that. I'm sorry. I don't believe cricketers should have the title. The only person that deserves a sir in front of his name is Sir Donald Bradman. Okay? That's my opinion. I mean, I don't...
Vivian Richards.
He was knighted, wasn't he, Don?
Well, actually, yes. Sir Vivian Richards, Sir Curtly Ambrose, I think Andy Roberts, Sir Richie Richards, they've all got so.
But it's just an honour, isn't it? It's just an honour for services to your sport.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. in Australia, we don't have sirs anymore. You can't get the title sir.
Yeah.
So there's no. Thank God there's no Sir Shane Warne. That would have driven me nuts. I mean, it would have been. I'm being flippant, but Richard, you've got to admit, please don't try to defend this. It is a joke. I'm sorry. They've got so many cricketers that are called sir.
It's an honour, Norman.
Oh,
Are you honestly? Let me ask-
the
you can buy certain pieces of land also and get the title of sir, right?
No.
I think you
No.
there are certain pieces of land, if you buy them, you get a title.
No,
of sir.
you have to be knighted by the Queen to be.
but Richard, please don't argue this point. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I'm sorry. I think I'll give an example of Ian Botham. He's Sir Ian Botham, but his charity work was the major influencing factor. Yeah. Then I get it. Then I accept it. Right. Then I might accept that. But it can't be just on playing cricket. Come on. I mean, sorry. I don't agree.
I've got to tell you, Norman, if I got a letter through the post Monday morning saying that the Queen invites me up to Buckingham Palace to be knighted for my services to your podcast or vodcast, I will be there and I'll be honoured and I would be crying because.
No, okay, I'm not saying you wouldn't be crying, but I mean, firstly,
I would accept the honour.
Yeah, that's because you've done some services, Richard, not because you've played cricket. Please,
it certainly would be my cricket ability, Norman, or yours. I've got to be honest.
But it's not about. It's about cricket. It doesn't deserve that titling unless you've done something like a Bradman, or you're an extreme, like maybe a captain of a side who's captain for something of the highest honour within cricket. Just every single player. I mean, that's far too many. And how do you discern between Richard Richards and Curtly Ambrose? I mean, they're both great players, but I'm sorry. Sir Vivian Richards, Sir Garfield Sobers, Sir Donald Bradman. Maybe. I'd accept that, right? It should be the top 11 players of all time at a Wisden. Then I might accept it, but not everybody.
Okay. It's just a view and an opinion, and people are entitled to.
These West Indies players, they are served by who? It's also by the Queen of England, or no?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
They're part of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
A Commonwealth country, so they can be knighted.
Australia not.
No, but they can. Obviously, Australia decided that they don't want to have it, and that's fine. It's fine, isn't it? It's fine either way. In a way, if they want to give out a knighthood, and people, you don't have to accept it. Of course, people have turned down these things and honours. We have it every year. People, I'd love to receive an honour because, I would be proud to be honoured by my Queen. My Queen has been serving since before I was born. She's my whole life.
What's the criteria for becoming a sir?
You have to be nominated by or often it's nominated for what you've done in your career or your services that you have given to a particular avenue of life. Sorry, I'm not expressing myself. Or you get recognised by the powers that be for something that you've done. It's a lot of time when it's given to civil servants.
If it's services or something, okay, I get you. I get the point of it. But yeah, anyway, all right. Is there any financial amount given, or isn't? Is there?
No, I don't think so. Though I think if you become a lord, you that might open a few doors.
So Lord Sebastian Coe, for example, he's a lord, isn't he?
Yeah.
And how would he have gotten that?
Well, he was the world record-breaking middle distance runner. Held the world record. He won 2 gold medals, I think, first, and then he went on and he ran the Olympic bid in 2012. He was the main man behind the Olympics in this country.
So who any cricketers got the title of lord?
Did Ian Botham get? I don't think he did. I'm not sure on that, Norman. I don't think so. It's a different sort of title. It's a different.
So did Michael Vaughan get it? No.
I'm not
But,
sure. Cricket
Flintoff,
law.
did Flintoff get it?
No, they got knighted. They got OBEs for services. That's an Order of the British Empire. And then
Actually, my brother got an MBE.
that's fantastic. That's brilliant, Norman. That's fantastic honour.
My brother has that from
That's
when he services to government in New
Yeah.
Guinea when he got
Wow.
an MBE.
Congratulations. That's a great thing to have in your family, Norman. It really is.
Yeah, my brother got it. Yeah, he got it. But my brother led the federal government of Papua New Guinea in terms of, well, from a taxation department. He was the commissioner from 1983. He died in 2010-11. It was 2010 actually. He had it from then, so he had it for some 27 years.
The only news I see here is ex-cricketer Sir Ian Botham to be made a lord as reward for Brexit loyalty.
Oh yeah, well that's not true. Ian Botham has raised millions and millions and millions of charity, and he has walked thousands and thousands of miles at detriment to his own health because it's costing quite badly on his limbs to walk these miles, and he's raised millions for children's charities.
He's amazing.
He's he just keeps doing it, and he's he deserves everything he gets. He does.
He's an extreme example of where it's really good.
And he's still remembered, even though it's nearly 40 years ago, for his exploits against the Australians. And it doesn't wane because those highlights are still shown. And it was one of the most extraordinary Test series, wasn't it, Norman? And it's, these things go into folklore, don't they?
He's a part of the all-time 11 wisdom, I think, as well as Warren and a few others.
You look at cricket folklore, don't you, and things that people have done extraordinary things, and both of them will be forever remembered for Headingley in '81. People's memories don't fade in a way because these things are handed down, and rightly so. We want it in every department of our lives, don't we?
You'd have to think that Ben Stokes will eventually get it because of his efforts.
Yeah. Stokes has done two remarkable things, hasn't he? And he won the World Cup, not on his own, but he was pretty instrumental in that Headingley Test match against Australia 2 years ago. Crikey!
All right, so let's have a look at this match. The highlights are clearly Joe Root, aren't they? Joe Root's day was amazing. I was impressed with Bairstow. I thought he did a very good job as well. He could easily have gone with it. He got a rather bizarre dismissal. Didn't he? It was quite an awful shot, to be honest, but it was a bizarre form of dismissal. At the back of the bat, went to first slip. The situation now, we still could see a result. We can see a result here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think, Baram? What do you think will happen?
I think there will be a result. Either
Really?
India win or England win.
I think it'll be a draw. I just don't see England bowling India out quickly enough, and India won't declare because why would they set us, say, 270 in 2 sessions? They might do, because you got to think how many runs can they score tomorrow. In reality, a good Test match day is 275. Would that be fair? Which will put them 250 in front. So they've still got to back into day 5.
Going, I would say 300, 320.
Yeah, that could be. But
I think the other thing is that having Ashwin in India's bowling lineup for the last day would have been huge, and he's not there. And I think they're going to rue his decision not to have Ashwin on the side.
Yeah, if India are Baram, say India are 150 for 4, that's a fairly reasonable, could be. And
Could be.
that puts them 125 in front. Pant comes in at number 6. Are you saying that you will give him full license to go full pants?
No, not see. I would see the situation this way: is either India collapse terribly and maybe get all out for 200 or even lower, then England definitely has a chance, or then the top order bats, the middle order contributes something, and they are in a good position, and then maybe last session, Pant, Jadeja give it a go. That way, in that scenario, I see India maybe having a lead of 300 and then giving the whole day for England to bat.
In which case they could well win, of course. But the problem is, if I understand what you're saying, but if they are 150 for 4, surely Pant has got to bat a little bit sensibly just to try and set the game up a little bit better for his side, because they have got a long tail, and he can't just go in and get a quick 20 and out, because they could then lose the game. You've got to bat conditions, haven't you? You've got to bat game position.
Knowing Pant, he will bat the way he bats. Time and again you've seen that situation.
Well, and he made by doing it.
You could see that with WTC also. So if tomorrow, even if it's 150, I know
he
Pant
helped lose the game, didn't he, in the World Cup final?
Yeah, but before you damn Pant, let's.
I'm not damning him. I'm not damning him. Honestly, I'm not. I'm saying that it'll be interesting if he does come in at a where the game is very much in the balance, whether he will just rein himself back to try and set.
I would say, Rich, let's see tomorrow what's the situation, and let's not pull his pants now. Let's not pull his pants now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Pant pulled the Australians' pants down at the match at the Gabba. There's no doubt about that. That was some amazing performance. Okay, it really was. The way he took that match right to the end and was not out, or so much not out, but it was more than his batting was incredible in that situation. It was the most fantastic innings to win a match.
How many balls was that, Norman?
I don't remember, but
it wasn't like a Pant 70 or 50 balls, was it? He batted a long time. He batted sensibly, didn't he, that day?
Oh, yeah, but he still was very aggressive. Okay, so just Sachin Tendulkar got the Bharat Ratna for the contribution to cricket sport. That was, but he had the effect Tendulkar had on India was like Bradman to the world, I think. So
yeah, he's the greatest player, one of the greatest players of all time. He deserves accolades. We're talking accolades here, aren't we? We're talking about being given an achievement award in a way. And in our country, we do it with our honours system. In other countries, they do it another way. Of course, Tendulkar.
I would slightly say that, in fact, Sachin Tendulkar has a demigod status in India. I would say, I don't know the situation with Bradman.
And Dravid, surely he's the same.
He's like a demigod kind of a thing in India.
Absolutely. This is a good question. Answer this one for me. What's the answer to this? Why didn't
I'll go second if Baran wants to come in?
Sorry?
What I saw of Root's batting was whatever balls that were pitched up, which usually others do a on drive or a straight drive. I saw Root was flicking it on the leg side and scoring it on the leg, so it was not going in the V. And whatever on the off, he was going more into the covers, which was again not hitting on the V. He was not going.
Plays very late. He plays late.
Yeah, he's waiting for the ball to come to him, like like all great batsmen do. And I bet Williamson's scoring chart didn't show him hitting too many down the ground. So what Root's not doing is he's not playing it out in front of him to drive it. His cover drive goes for extra cover, and he did score a couple of lovely cover drives. But he's waiting for the ball generally and just tucking it away off his hip, or putting it through the offside. It was a classic way to play on a slowish pitch that was keeping a little bit low at times. If you're playing too far in front of yourself to go down the ground, you can nick it, can't you? I mean, it's the way Root plays anyway. He's predominantly not a massive straight driver. Different people play different ways, don't they? And he's a lovely player to watch. He's got lovely touch, isn't he? And as you said, Norman, quite rightly, he's suddenly in there and he's on 40, and you don't realise he scored a run, and he's got 40 of them. He's that sort of lovely silky player that he just pushes it around, and the scoreboard's turning over. He usually has a nice strike rate as well. He's not slowest. You think he's going slowly, but he's not. He's a very good player. I mean, we know he's a good player. Crikey, he's got 9,000 runs, isn't he, in Test cricket?
But this is very unique for any Test batsmen are not scoring in the week. That's something not seen very common. That too in
But,
such a good pitch.
Let's just take a step back and look at Root. The way we describe the way he gets his 40 very quickly, we don't even realise it. He's gotten to 9,000 and I barely realise it. Quite frankly, he's absolutely... Well, they showed that. I think he's only second to Cook to get to 9,000 test runs. He's beaten Tendulkar and Ponting to 9,000 test runs.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that, Norman, I think. It's what we just touched on. He's not a fussy player, is he? He's not a showman player. He's not... Kohli, you would say, plays marquee shots at times, and he's a showman, and he stands there, and he's a larger-than-life character, the same way you could say Matt Hayden. I know I've mentioned Hayden before. I'm a big fan of Hayden. But he was a big, aggressive sort of player, and you noticed him. Warner, if you like. Whereas Root is unassuming. He just knocks it around. He doesn't whack sixes and stand there and blaze it everywhere. He just knocks it for ones and twos and calmly goes about his business, doesn't he? Like Williamson, in a way. These are unassuming players who are the master of their craft, aren't they? You know, name me a big shot Root play, apart from right at the end, he played a couple of big ones. He doesn't, does he? He just bats. He just bats.
Yeah, but you mentioned Matthew Hayden. I want to centre him for me. He was a great batter, a great hitter of the ball. All of that was really good. But there's one thing about Matthew Hayden that I would argue was a bit sad, because he got his highest score of 380 against, I'm happy to remember, Bangladesh or Zimbabwe. I can't remember. At the start, it really wasn't an innings to be glorified, because it was against a pretty low side.
Oh, and harsh, Norman. Hang
on. Let me finish. And he batted well beyond what was necessary in the game as well. Okay, so you've got to put your score in the context of the game. He scored 380 when they could have easily declared when he was 150. Okay, so he bled a situation dry. It was ironic, because then Brian Lara went out after scoring his 375. Hayden got 380. Lara wasted no time. The next, I don't know, maybe a month later or whatever it was a short term later, that he scored his 400. Intriguing. But if I'm being honest with you, if a player scores 380 or 400 in a test match, you'd have to argue it's a bit greedy.
But it's surely down to the captain, Norman. The captain.
No, I know that, but it is a bit greedy. Even for heaven's sake, letting Jason Gillespie score 200 was the most agonising thing I've ever seen in my life, because he batted solidly, but he didn't get in any hurry. I'll tell you.
What the point I was making about Hayden is, sorry, just quickly. The point I was making about Hayden is, I remember in an Ashes Test match, first morning, Australia batting first. In the first over, Hayden taking 2 steps down the wicket and hitting the opening bowler straight through mid-off for 4. Massive, brilliant shot. I mean, and that's a statement shot, isn't it? It's not a fussy shot. He was up there. This is me. I'm the boss. I'm going to do this to you. And that's the difference. Root, never see that really from Root, do you? He just does. Him and Williamson are very similar, I think. They just knock it around. They don't play big shots. They play it. They cushion it almost, don't they? Ones and twos.
Matthew Hayden is okay. Matthew Hayden and Sehwag are 2 opening batters.
Oh yeah, lovely player, Sehwag.
Those 2 would be the scariest 2 opening batters to face as a bowler.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, probably Richards would be. He's not an opener though, but it'd be very intimidating to bowl those 2. Sehwag used to just. I love Sehwag. He looked again somewhat lazy when he didn't move his feet very much. Didn't have to. Not
laziness, is it? If you score two or three treble test hundreds for Sehwag, you can't.
Well, I mean, when I say laziness,
no, I know what you mean.
He didn't move much.
Yeah.
He just sort of
the same, wasn't he, Norman?
For me, 300 plus scores, like if they are really putting in a team for a winning position and not just for the sake of records, that's very much like in case of Lara, when he scored that 400, that was really required in the match. Like I remember that match where Sri Lanka batted for 5 days and they were like batting because they wanted Jayasuriya to that time break Lara's 375 record, and I think they scored some 900 plus. And I believe,
985 they got.
yeah, and I believe Javagal Srinath, if I remember, Javagal Srinath had got Jayasuriya out. I remember watching that match, and let me tell you, that was the most boring match I ever watched. And I was happy that Jayasuriya did not get that record. I was very happy because that's not what you play cricket for.
I agree. It was funny because that particular scorecard, the 985, when I took a tour to Sri Lanka, I got it's a guy called Charik Senanayake, who played for Sri Lanka. And someone I know personally, he's a mate of mine. What he did was he was part of the Sri Lankan cricket board, and he with Arjuna. And I got them to create that scoreboard, the exact scores exactly, with all my team's players on the scoreboard, and the opposition were people that we knew. So the guys turned up at the ground. They were on the pitch. They looked up to the scoreboard. There were their names replicated at 985 on that exact same scoreboard where the game was held, and I orchestrated the whole thing. Of course, I got the 300 runs. My name was next to the 300 runs, and a mate of mine who I jokingly he was none for 400 off his bowl. It was the best. Can you imagine the hilariousness of that turning up? And there you are up in lights on the original scoreboard. Exactly. It was quite special. It's quite a good.
Which ground was that? Which ground was that?
That was at pretty sure it was SSC, Singley Sports Club.
Colombo.
Yeah.
That's the new ground, isn't it, Norman?
No, it's one of the old grounds.
Okay. Can I just quickly address one of the comments from VK? Hello, VK. I hope you subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Press the button. I wasn't being disrespectful to Kohli. I hope no one thought I was trying to be disrespectful. It's a compliment. I was saying he is a showman. He is a showman. He's a showman on the field when he's in the field. Look at the way he waits to refer the DRS. Sorry, for the reviews. He's a showman when he appeals. That's what he does. That's part of his greatness. The fact that he's a showman of a cricketer. I wasn't meaning any disrespect. I was complimenting him.
I think it's a cultural, Rich. You don't have to be this. It's a culture because India, when you say showman, it's like it's taken a little. It has two meanings. Like one showman is like you are all talk but not doing anything.
No, I wasn't meaning.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I'm sorry. That wasn't. You're not taking that. I hope you guys didn't think I meant that. I certainly didn't. I think he's one of the greatest players the World Game's ever had. But he likes to be front and centre, and the way he gets himself going and the way he plays his best game is to stand there and be the man. Whereas people like Root and Williamson don't do that. They are very unassuming when they bat. They aren't demonstrative characters, whereas Virat is, and it's different people are different characters, aren't they?
And bowling wise, I would say I put Bumrah and Anderson in that category. Like when they take a wicket, it's not that they celebrate. Like Bumrah, I don't even see a celebration, just a smile on his face. And
yeah. I mean, look at Ian Botham. We talk about Ian Botham. He was a great showman of cricket, wasn't he? You can't say that Ian Botham wasn't a larger-than-life character, and he was a showman. But yeah, I meant no disrespect to Virat Kohli on that comment at all, none at all. And I apologise if that was meant. I meant it in the nicest way.
No, I don't think it was
commenting showman equal to entertainer. Completely agree.
I mean, it's India have created another level of cricket in the world. Let's be honest. I don't necessarily mean only on performance, but the whole interest in cricket has gone through the roof.
Yeah, since they won the World Cup, the World Cup changed it in India, didn't it? Winning the World Cup in 82 and then 96.
83.
But that wasn't the one that really changed. It was the one after. Really.
Well, 2011 was when. Yeah.
And then with the IPL, it's everything.
Because the Indians are not. Look at Baram. You're in the Philippines. There are people all over the world And it's not just India, it's Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. They're all, in fact, the subcontinent's development of cricket has been crazy. And now countries like UAE, Oman, America, parts of Europe, that's where cricket has gone to the next level. And we're going into women's cricket, which is not necessarily based on a subcontinent reason. It's interesting, women's cricket around the world, you know how, okay, men's cricket, let's be honest. In India, in America, it's a lot of expats, Indians and the like, right? Women's cricket, it's not just expats that are in America or South America. It's actually the locals. Women have brought cricket to another level that is no longer just expats. Women who are Peruvian, who are from Vanuatu, from Singapore, from a lot of countries. It's no longer just simply they've got a Commonwealth type involvement. If that makes any sense, it's actually taking cricket to another level. That's where I find that exciting. That women's cricket, the subcontinent influence on the world has spread cricket to the second most popular sport in the world. And that's probably only really happened the last 20 or 30 years.
Someone was saying on the comments the other day, and I know you addressed it at the time, Norman, that why isn't cricket being played in other countries and what's happening? And yet I was looking on Cricinfo this week, they were playing, Germany were playing against Holland and in a tournament, and Finland were playing against Norway, and a load of the European countries are playing. The game is alive and well. These countries are playing.
I saw the Germany versus France match. But
France, that's
one
right.
thing I did not like is like majority, like I would say almost 8 out of the 11 players were of subcontinent origin. So
but
it has to penetrate with the locals also.
You have
but back in 1992 in Germany, I represented Germany. It wasn't official, but we were called Germany. We went to Ispra in Italy, and that team was pretty much the official Italian side. In all fairness,
so you're
and they had Martin Crowe as their coach.
You're an international cricketer.
Well, that was we played so-called Germany, played Italy with Martin Crowe as the coach in a place called Ispra, and we had, quite frankly, very few subcontinent people. We had predominantly at that stage Australians, New Zealanders, and English. So it's a phenomenon that's really, this whole thing is really 90s onwards that has really taken hold. It's intriguing.
It's
very intriguing.
I would believe it's a big onus on ICC on how to get all these teams as quickly as possible to make it a more multi-nation tournament. And we are not just, it should not be like 10 years on from now, we are still with the same 7-8 teams.
Well, they do qualify.
Afghanistan's a great example. Afghanistan's a fantastic
Afghanistan has come up very well.
Yeah, they have a league system, Bahram, don't they? And Afghanistan, I think, came up through the divisions, up through the leagues. So they have a promotion and relegation. So the problem is
part of the Asia Cup.
See, but it all depends on the country, because Afghanistan came up. That's a good thing, but at the same time, like, it was a disappointment that Zimbabwe, went down. Many things happened over there. Like, if you talk at the early 2000s or 90s, Zimbabwe was a formidable team. Like, it was not like a push around. So they had already gone back.
You can't have the
now, given
Norman was
Afghanistan, I don't know whether this will continue.
Yeah, Norman was talking about this morning, of course, and it was a really interesting conversation. The political interference can't really be allowed, and in Zimbabwe, government was basically picking the team for a while. It was ridiculous.
Well, Sri Lanka is the worst example, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, who's one of the top 8 nations, you would argue, in the world for cricket, had their president, that particular president's return to power. I don't know what's happening today, but look, the Sri Lankan process has not changed. It's still bad. It's still very, very, very bad. When you have Sangakkara Jayawardena, Angelo Matthews, there's a whole host, I mentioned over half a dozen senior players all just giving up on Sri Lankan cricket because they see no benefit in their involvement. And look at Sangakkara, he's in charge of MCC. I would love to see Sangakkara running the Sri Lankan Cricket Board because it'd be done properly.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid it's not allowed to act in that manner. They've got, I think Timothy Parler's one character. There's a lot of them that have been in and amongst that region that have just been really, and I'm not going to pick a name, but there's been plenty of issues.
Mm.
It is probably the most corrupt and most match-fixed country in the world. It outdoes even India and Pakistan. Sri Lanka's the worst.
That's so sad. Such
Well, the
a
ICC,
fantastic cricket nation.
ICC had the entire top to bottom of Sri Lankan cricket overhauled and investigated. Not just a handful of people, the entire administration. Can you believe that? They were all under scrutiny.
No, I did not hear this. When did this happen? You're saying it's overall by ICC?
And the last couple of years, it was about 2 years ago. They went through it heavily. There was massive corruption, massive. I mean, the accusations were that the entire broadcasting rights, which were given from, say, a country like India, there's an agreement between India and Sri Lanka on various series and what have you, right? The entire pocket of money, which was substantial, whatever it was, almost none of it went to where it was supposed to go. They basically were virtually bankrupt, despite having been given tens of millions of dollars. Where did that money go? It didn't go where it was supposed to.
Money from IPL also, I believe, because there are so many players playing the IPL before, and right now nobody.
They won't touch them. I'll tell you what, they won't touch them. They are as, and I'm not going to innovate. Like even someone like Jai Surya was in amongst it, and he was also ministerially. He was given a ministerial position. For God's sake, that was completely corrupt. That whole process was corrupt. I'm not going to pinpoint names, but there were a truckload. The women's cricket coach who was recently sacked about a year or so. Don't start me on that, please. Because I know I have a personal involvement with women's cricket in Sri Lanka. You know that. I've managed or helped a lot of the girls there, and I know firsthand what they've gone through. It's the most disastrous mess. It's just disastrous. There were a lot of great people too, by the way. There are some very good people. Simon Willis, who we know personally, was heavily involved, but he loved helping people out. He was there to help. He had a great job because he did a great job. There were a few of them, but not many.
Yeah. VK wants you to write his name. I assume that's an Indian way of saying hello. Is that right?
What's that?
VK18. VK18 is saying Virat will score a century tomorrow. I hope. Because
it'd be good to watch if he does.
Pujara and Rane don't score tomorrow, then I would say the next match take Ashwin in place of Rane.
There's a lot of talk about the no balls today, Norman, that were bowled by Bumrah. I wonder if that's. I think he's probably a little bit out of rhythm, and if you're a little bit out of rhythm, then I think he's bowling the no ball because he's slightly overstretching.
I think it was a mess up of the run up. I think we lost his footing or something like that. I believe that was the issue. It was not
he's bowled. He's been injured, isn't he?
It was not that they were small.
He's been injured, and he missed, and now he's back, and he's bowled quite a lot of overs in the last week and a half. I have a feeling they might need to rest him at Headingley, which would be a shame. I just wondered if he didn't bowl so well today, did he? Just a little bit out of sync.
He got 9 wickets in the first match and bowled out of his skin.
No, I'm not saying he didn't bowl well.
It's gone to waste because they didn't win the match. It's very sad.
Today, Norman, just today, he looked a little bit not quite himself today. And did he bowl 14 or 15 no balls, which suggests that there's something going wrong somewhere. I'm not a bowler, of course. Not like you, Norman. I don't understand bowling.
If it were a Sri Lankan bowler, I'm going to jokingly say it may have been a very suspicious set of no balls. But I mean, and there's a lot of world cricketers that bowl. I'm not suggesting Bumrah's doing that.
Even Shami was bowling no balls. It was not just
Yeah, this must be because they're getting a bit tired, Baram. I think they were late in the day, getting a bit tired, trying that a little bit too hard. You know what it's like. It's
Except the fact, like till now in the series, at least the Indian batsmen have got the short end of the stick in terms of conditions on batting. I know it's a
Yeah.
but at least till now they've won the first Test match, even and in the second Test match. In terms
well,
of
let's hope
conditions,
it's cloudy tomorrow. Let's hope it's cloudy, a little bit overcast, and we might see it swing around a bit for Jimmy. You never know.
We don't. You're wanting that because you want England to get.
Of course, you wouldn't expect me to say anything different, would you? You wouldn't really expect me to say anything different. Of course,
I'm a little bit. If I'm being really honest with you, I'm a little bit shocked at the way this Test match has gone. I actually thought, even from the first to the second, I thought India had been in ascendancy throughout the whole period of time. It's really only today that England can definitely say they're in front.
They're not in front now.
Sorry?
They're not in front in this Test match tonight.
Yeah, I'm talking about England. England in front. This is the first time.
Sorry,
England,
yeah.
Through the first two Test matches, this is the first day you can genuinely say England are in the ascendancy. Throughout the whole first match and this match, India have been in the ascendancy.
There's not much in it. It's still tight.
No, but you have to say that England are obviously in the ascendancy somewhat.
It'll come down to one session, possibly, the Test. If you think that there's going to be a result, then it'll come down to a session where one team has a great session or one team has a really, really poor session, either with bat or ball, and that will result the Test match. I think one team loses 5 wickets in a session, game over potentially. One team bowls badly and concede 120 runs if Pat gets going, game over potentially. Yeah, I think it's coming down to small bits now. It's the business end, as we say, the business end.
Yeah,
I know Munchie was on Norman. I wondered if he had the same feeling about Bumrah, if he's still listening. With all the
Munchie here.
He made a couple of comments. I just wondered because Munchie was a quick bowler, not quite as good as Bumrah, but pretty decent. And I wonder if he thinks he was just a little bit out of sync. Hello, Gil.
Hi, hello.
Gil.
How are you? Good.
Norman, now Gil's on. I shall not even leave you guys and let you. I've had too much to say. If that's okay, it's my dinner time here. Not that you've come on, Gil, but I just thought it's time for others to have their say. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Good luck tomorrow. Let's hope it's going to be a cracking Test match, eh? Fantastic game.
For sure. Thanks, Reg.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Bye. What was Reg intimidated that we had the two of you? I'm joking. Reg, he's a top bloke. He's obviously, I love his passion, and he's very knowledgeable too. So, Gil, what's your now? Are you? It looks a bit dark in your room. Are you a bit of doom and gloom going on? Or?
No. I think despite that, this is England's day without a doubt. But I'd still say that the match is pretty much in the balance because England have to bat fourth, and 27-run lead isn't much. If you look back at the 2014 Test match, where the wicket was similar, England had still taken a 24-run lead in the first innings. So I'd say this match is pretty much in the balance, and it could be anyone's game, depending upon how India bat tomorrow. But on the whole, I'd say the Indian bowling think tank might be a little disappointed. Mohammad Shami was really disappointing for two innings in a row. He's conceded runs at more than 4 runs per over. The scorecard may not show it, but I genuinely feel that Jasprit Bumrah was India's best bowler today. He wasn't lucky enough to get wickets. He was the most disciplined of the lot, if you leave out the no balls, because Mohammad Siraj and Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Shami, all 3 of them in the first 2 sessions were not disciplined enough, which is why England were in a position of just 50 runs behind at tea time. Had it not been for India's comeback in the final session, England could have very well been, leading by 50 runs at stumps and, still be looking to add more runs. Thankfully, Ishant Sharma was very good in the post-tea session, where he got both Moeen Ali and Sam Curran in 2 balls. And I thought somewhere Virat Kohli also missed a trick by not bowling Ravindra Jadeja enough. For 3 test matches in a row, he's not bowled him enough. He's and the longest spell that Jadeja's had in these 3 test matches is 6 overs. Now, how do you expect a batsman to, or how do you expect a bowler to work over a batsman when the longest spell that he's had is only 6 overs? It's difficult. And similarly, when Moeen Ali came out to bat, Ishant Sharma was removed only after a 3 over spell when he had just gotten Joss Butler. So Kohli should also be disappointed with his bowling changes, and then be most disappointed with someone like Mohammad Shami. I mean, you can't be giving runs at more than 4 runs per over for 2 innings in a row. That's just not done, especially when you've played 50 test matches.
Is there an injury going on with Bumrah though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, but I think you're underplaying Siraj. I thought he bowled well.
He bowled well. He actually, but I think there are going to be days when he will bowl better than this and not get wickets, because you look at the Bairstow wicket. The plan was set, and Bairstow knew it was coming, and it was only an over away from new ball, and Bairstow still fell for it. So Siraj, still what he does is he has the tendency to bowl that boundary ball, which someone like Ishant Sharma doesn't do. And today was not Ishant Sharma's best day, but he was trying hard enough, and he got those wickets as a result of those efforts. But also, England were slightly lucky that this was probably the best batting day in the entire series so far. Nothing was happening off the pitch.
I mean, Siraj to me is always a wicket taker. That's his value. Whenever he bowls, there's a wicket around the corner. He has the ability, no matter what he does, he tends to get wickets. I think a lot of Siraj. I mean, in general, we are forgetting the most important factor here today, and that's Joe Root. For God's sake, if he would have gone out for a duck, we would be looking at 100+ lead of India, wouldn't we? Completely different complexity of the match.
Yeah, this is actually the first time that Joe Root has scored hundreds in back-to-back innings. For the very first time in his career, and his last 3 test hundreds have all come against India. Today in Trent Bridge and then in Chennai. And this is the first time since Ian Bell scoring back-to-back hundreds in the Ashes of 2013 that any English batsman has done it. So Joe Root is having a wonderful year. He's already scored 500s this year. 2 of them against Sri Lanka, 1 against India in Chennai, and then 2 over here. So he's having a very good run. And I think India were not very disciplined enough. You look at Mohammad Shami, he was not very full, wasn't even attacking Joe Root's pads, and then he was bowling a slightly short of length to Joe Root, where he was going back and playing him from the crease. So I think India, in a tendency to attack Joe Root's pads, sort of overcompensated for it, and the results were there for it. Joe Root has scored 70 runs in this innings through the mid wicket and long leg region. So he's that tells you how much he's been able to flick the ball and score runs. So yeah, maybe they need to be more disciplined against Joe Root. They have to maintain bowling at the fourth and the off stump line, and keep at it. Because if you're bowling,
you're right. They bowled too much to his strength, didn't they today?
Exactly. In a bid to not let him cut, what they did was they kept straying on the pads, which is not going to trouble someone like Joe Root. And they paid for it. They paid heavily for it, and they'd be really disappointed with how Mohammad Shami bowled today. Make no mistake about it. Mohammad Shami was just not.
It's been disappointing because Johnny Bairstow's come out. I was looking at the media conference. Johnny Bairstow's come out and given a media conference. I would have liked to have seen Joe Root, because I think he was probably the man to.
On Joe Root's topic, I would like to have Gurkirat's view that there was a question earlier in that why Joe Root did not score 0 runs in the week. What's your opinion, Gurkirat, on that?
India didn't bowl him. India didn't bowl him a lot of drivable lengths. India didn't just bowl enough straight deliveries at him, or which he could drive in the V, to be very honest. And whenever they did, they also had 2 mid wickets in place. So that is the thing. India just sort of I do think that they should have invited Joe Root to drive a little bit than letting him, stay on the back foot and play through the point or the third man region, which is what Mohammad Shami essentially did. He was not just full enough. He was bowling it short of the length all the time, which was allowing Joe Root to stay back in his crease and then maneuver the ball. So I think India just didn't, probably for a reason, they didn't bowl full enough to him because they felt that there wasn't enough swing, which sort of explains it. But still, they shouldn't have bowled to his legs that often, along with giving him room outside the off stump.
They certainly
I-
did bowl. They had very unusual tactics, didn't they? I thought there was some very unusual tactics that were used. I still believe, okay, the pitch wasn't very conducive to swing or movement.
No, he did score. He did score 10 runs. I've just opened his wagon wheel. He just did score 10 runs in the V, but out of 180, that's not even 5%. So India just really didn't bowl full enough to him because they felt that there was no swing in the air. Simple as that.
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating it was very frustrating for India. They didn't have what you would call the best of conditions today.
They missed Ashwin. They also missed
Oh.
Ashwin.
It's very, very hard to really work on that one. I'm sorry. That's now becoming a real soreness because a guy like Ashwin would have made a difference.
So that is why I've been saying since day one that India really can't afford to have four seamers, because the kind of seamers that India have, uh, it is going to happen that one of them will not have a very disciplined day. You've had someone like Mohammad Shami not being disciplined enough, and in the first innings at Trent Bridge, Siraj wasn't disciplined enough. So you really need someone like Ashwin to, if not do anything, at least control the flow of runs and set up the batsmen. I don't think Burns, Moeen Ali would have scored the amount of runs that they've done if Ashwin was playing, because he's so good against left-handers. So they really need Ashwin, to be able to rotate the bowlers as well. Because let's not forget that all four of India pacers have bowled roughly 25 overs today, and that takes a lot out of your body. They might have to come out and bowl on the fifth day once again. So yeah, I think. Also they must realize that it's not that Shardul is a better number 8 than Ashwin. People think that because Shardul scored runs at Gabba, but Shardul's first class average is 16. Ashwin's test match average is 28. Shardul has 750s in first class cricket, while Ashwin has 11, and he has 500s to go with it. Shardul did bat well at Gabba, but it's not that Ashwin didn't bat well at Sydney at all. Ashwin batted with a bad back in Sydney. So, yeah, I think Ashwin needs to come in, probably in place of Shami, if not Siraj. But yeah, there's
I
no
think
way.
Shami
I think,
probably more likely.
yeah, but I don't think India can afford to keep Ashwin out anymore. Manas is saying that Moin and Karan would have slogged Ashwin like always. I disagree. Even if they would have connected once or twice, the third time Ashwin would have gotten their number for sure. Ashwin's too good a bowler to be away from these to shy away from these challenges. He's very smart.
Did you notice? I thought it was quite amusing whenever they panned to Ashwin. He looked decidedly fidgety. You could almost see him sitting there going, "I want to be out there. I want to be out
And
there."
of course. I mean, India. If you look back at the Australia series, everyone talks about Pant. Everyone talks about Shubman Gill. Everyone talks about Pujara. Everyone talks about Bumrah, Siraj, etc., etc. But no one realizes the simple fact that Ashwin didn't allow Steve Smith to score runs in the first two Test matches, and on one of the finest days of batting at the MCG, which was day one, India were able to bowl out Australia for 195 because Ashwin was key. Ashwin had taken 3 wickets that day. So Ashwin's contribution in that series was immense, and he might not have taken a fifer, but he still remains a class bowler. And even in these conditions, he could be a very good support bowler. Probably, even say better than Siraj or Shami also.
But what you really are talking about there is his presence.
Of
on the
course,
side as
I mean,
well.
if nothing is happening, you will not see Ashwin leak runs. Ashwin rarely goes for over 4 runs and over 3 runs and over as well in test matches. Shami went for 4 runs per over.
So it's Independence Day today, isn't it? It's in fact
Yeah.
the 75th anniversary.
Yeah,
That's quite a
Independence Day to all the viewers. Gurkirat.
that's
thank
huge.
you. 74 years of independence, 75th Independence Day. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow's a good day of cricket.
Well, I mean, it's actually, well, technically it is there as well. You've just gone past midnight. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
You guys didn't pick up on that, did you? I like clever. I gave you a happy Independence Day at the stroke of the day.
Norman, you've always been a very good what do you call it? Yeah, you've always been a good diplomat, and you've always been I'm not getting the word right now, but I know what I want to say, but I'm just not getting the right word for the
But I'm
audiences to
telling you,
relate.
people think that I'm biased. I'm actually not, because I have a love of the world. I mean, I'm scathing about Sri Lankan cricket because I'm so passionate about Sri Lankan cricket. The reality is, I was married to a Sri Lankan for 15 years. I went to Sri Lanka. I have gone to Sri Lanka almost every year for the last 20 years. So I have a love for the subcontinent. I go to Bangladesh a lot because I enjoy what I've been able to help there with Bangladesh. I want to go to Pakistan more in the future. I love India. The fact is, I have a great enjoyment of cricket around the world.
You love butter. You love butter chicken as well, which you keep talking about.
Butter chicken. You think that's where it starts? You name chicken tikka masala, bloody hell, any sort of mutton curry. You're kidding me, aren't you? Jesus.
I'm just trying to make you remember all the good things at 4 a.m. in the night. And
I'll tell you now, that's my good friend Yashpal Erda, who you haven't met. He's a Gujarati. His dad's got truckloads of restaurants in India. He's lots of hotels. A very successful man. He's got a restaurant here in Sydney. I go to it. I was there from the day it was open on the 9th of February, 4 years ago, I think it was. I've been there probably about 560,000 times, and I probably eat more food there than anyone else. I love it. So yeah. All right, guys.
Yes. So I've remembered the word that I wanted to use. I was going to say that you're a good statesman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So okay. Going back to something that happened that Baram and I talked about earlier, and Richard was, I hate to say it, was a bit defensive about, was the suggestion about what happened at Lord's today with the champagne corks. I don't care what motivated it, it was disgraceful.
It was.
There were at least half a dozen to a dozen corks that were popped onto the ground. There's something really wrong with that and the way that was done. I'm surprised they were not. As soon as those corks were popped onto the ground, whether it was from the bottle or thrown, those people should have been ejected. Don't you agree? In this modern age, especially at a ground of the stature of Lord's, it's quite a dangerous and very unnecessary thing. Now, Carl Roll ended up picking up a cork and throwing it in there. There's a bit of a laugh made about it. It got Kohli's attention. It could have been dangerous to have a cork in front of you as well. It's just not something they should allow.
It's bad advertisement for cricket overall. And one thing is not clear, is was it targeting? See, definitely people threw that cork, that's for sure. But was it targeted towards KL Rahul, or if any other fielder would have been there, we would have still seen the cork? So I think.
Well, I mean, it was the cork, either directly or indirectly, was put towards the ground, which is to the players. I'm sorry if it's not done for the sake of it's not. If it's a childish thing of a kid threw or something on the ground, different. But these are adults. It's more than one bottle. It's deliberate. It's done to be disruptive, unruly. I don't care if it was. I believe it was. I think certainly the one that I saw that Rahul picked up. I think that was directed to. That was actually targeted towards him. Now that's wrong. Can you imagine a cork? Even though a cork's not necessarily it's not as lethal as some other objects, that could have hit him in the eye. It's possible. depending on how close it was.
Whosoever has done it should have been thrown out of the stadium. Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing was, Rahul threw the cork back at the crowd as a nice gesture. Someone caught it and celebrated. That person was involved with that cork shot, definitely, because they were catching the cork back. They were involved with that incident. They were still there. So I don't know what we haven't heard the end of it yet, but it really incensed me. It was done very publicly. It was done on camera. You know, it's really, because normally at Lords it's incredibly well controlled, incredible. You can't sneeze and you get chucked out of the ground because it's such and people are very dignified normally. So anyway, it was a bad incident. What's the coverage in India with that? Have you seen much, Gil? Has there been much publicity?
It was being discussed on Twitter and social media, but yeah, I think if India still turn around the result and win the game, I don't think there will be much talk about it. But if India lose, then there will be.
But there was another incident of a person running, so those two are moving a lot. One is obviously a funny incident, and the other is not so good.
What happened there? I didn't see that.
One guy wearing an India T-shirt came on the ground, and the funny part was that when the security came to take him out, he's saying that, "Oh, I'm an Indian player. Are you crazy or something like that?" So that was very funny. So Siraj was laughing a lot, and the Indian players were making a joke that, so we should make him play. It might help us. So that kind of,
well, that's good. That's some good humour. But yeah, man, the fact that it's always intriguing to watch when the players at Lords, they go from the main pavilion and they walk on the inside of the field all the way down through the middle, through underneath the JP Morgan Centre, out to the nets. It's very, very visible. It's you don't have a lot of there's not much around you, but it's quite a good spectacle to see the players doing that. I love that actually, because normally you don't see players walking around a ground to go and have nets practice, do you? They normally do it under some sort of tunnel or something, but it's very visible, of course. Have you both been to Lords? Did you say?
I have been.
Not
I've not watched the game
Right,
at Lords, but I've taken a tour of the stadium, and I think we discussed this 2 days ago on
We
this
did.
very show.
Yeah, I remember it. It's coming back to me now. My memory's returning. But I mean, we ought to organise something.
Normal, it happens when you're 90 plus years old. It's fine, but you're still doing good for your age.
Gil, I might throw a very large cork your way in a minute. Be careful.
with the bottle.
With the bottle, exactly. The bottle will be attached to the cork, and I won't miss.
Where's your magic fountain thing? The which you had in the IPL. What does it say about the result?
Actually, it's a good point. I haven't been doing that one. I'm saying that Kohli will get 100 tomorrow, and I'm saying Mohammad Shami will return to form, and Siraj will they'll both take 4 wickets each, with the last 2 going to Jadeja, and they'll win the match. No, it's not. That's too extreme. I'll be honest. But I'm saying something about the Kohli, Rahane, Pujara batting triumphant, having some success. I tell you what, that would be even if India lose the match, but Kohli scores a century, that's a victory, isn't it?
No. Teams win is always more paramount.
I believe for sure there would be some change in the batting. Means, what do you feel, Gurkarat? Like they can't continue.
For sure. I think if whenever India lose a match, one of Pujara or Rahane is going to get dropped. One of them is going to get dropped for sure. Very simple.
Do you think so? Do you really? Do you
yes.
think absolutely?
If India, they've not scored any runs, no runs at all. So one of them will get dropped if India lose.
Well, it'll have to be Rahane, won't it? Not Pujara.
Yeah, but the thing is, against swing and seam bowling, Rahane is a better player, technically equipped. But in terms of temperament, then Pujara's ahead. So it's a very tough call. There's really not much to choose between the two, if you ask me.
I feel very sorry for Pujara because I think in the previous test, the way he batted towards the end of the day, leading into the next day, he was ready to go. I thought we would have seen the best of Pujara come out then, but he didn't get the opportunity to show that.
Could have. Maybe we
So
really
that
can't say
makes
much.
it makes it even stronger tomorrow. The way that those three, in particular Pujara Rahane, handle themselves, they really have a position where they can do something important. That weather won't be the case. If Pujara Rahane fail tomorrow, you're right. There's going to be some need for consideration of a change. I
Also, um, I just have a bad feeling that Moeen Ali is going to have some fun tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he's taken he's become the sixth bowler to take 50 wickets against India. Uh, he's become the sixth bowler to take 50 wickets against India. So, sixth spinner to do it. So, he always turns up against India. He just somehow does. So, might as well be the case tomorrow as well. Hopefully, it isn't. Hopefully, India take full toll of him. But yeah, I'd be very of Moeen Ali as an Indian fan.
I always think about what Monty Panis always says. He said he could not have a bigger thrill than to do well against India, especially in India, but against India in general. The motivation levels. Now, Moeen Ali's background, he's not of Indian extraction, is he?
Pakistan origin.
Okay. But having said that, though, he's a subcontinent background. There's a certain desire, and you can imagine it's not even pressure, but because of the prominence of their backgrounds. I mean, Monty's very proud of his Indian heritage. Moeen Ali would also be very much of his Pakistani heritage. Hamid would have similar of his heritage. It's a big thing to be able to represent England or any country against a country of your origin. It must be of great significance, surely.
Only those who have done it can speak for it. Honestly, I haven't, so I really can't speak on their behalf. Really, I mean, I
But I mean,
still.
but I'm talking in general. I mean, I think it's a very strong point. They're very proud
Yes,
to represent England.
Sagar says, "Hey, Gurkirat, love from Canada. Thank you, Sagar. Hopefully, you and your family are doing well."
Yeah, he's a regular. He's a great regular. Actually, no one is from Pakistan. Yep. The footholds aren't in Moeen Ali's favour, so that may be the only reason. Yeah, I remember the horrors of 14 and 18. So, yeah, very interesting.
If India lose from this position, I would believe the turnaround of the match would be still yesterday's morning session when both KL Rahul as well as Rane just gave away the wicket.
No, I'd say the turnaround would be today's morning session where India just didn't bowl well enough.
Yeah, India had a big opportunity today to really take hold of this
Because
match and get.
despite everything, England was still 250 runs behind today. And
Exactly.
with the lack of form and with the lack of runs, etc., you would have still expected India to take a 30-40 run lead, not concede a lead. So I'd say the turning point would still be today's morning session.
Yeah, one wicket in that session. There was no. I think that's the first session in this whole test match, right, without a wicket.
I mean,
No.
let's be
No.
honest.
The first session on day one.
Yeah, if they got bloody Root out, we'd be sitting here watching an Indian victory.
Before lunch, right?
I'm annoyed because Root has basically been the reason for India losing. Honestly, he was so incredible. If 180, what is he? 180? Was he 180 not out?
180.
It's immense. Immense batting score. It just goes to show. Go back to KL Rahul for a minute. 127 overnight. He was heading for a double century. He lasted 2 balls, which is rather frustrating. Okay, so all right.
Norman, I'll take your leave.
Sorry.
I'll take a leave.
Thanks, Beram. Thank you very much. You've been on for a long time.
Thank you, Gurgaon.
All right, thank you. Come back. I'll send you links tomorrow. And we'll have finished up, Gurgaon, you and I. Look, I could talk forever. I love this. I just love this whole thing. I just love. I love Lords. I don't care who's playing there. That is the most exciting. Gil, you have to get to a game. You have to turn up to a game the next time. You can't be there when it's empty. You've got to be there when the game comes.
Hopefully, I have enough money to fly and then buy a ticket. The ticket's expensive as well.
Well, the ticket to enter the ground is expensive. Yeah.
The flight tickets from India are also expensive.
Are you talking? You're talking to someone who comes from Australia anywhere. We leave Australia. We're spending 5 hours in the plane just to leave Australia. For God's sake, we're in a horror.
Yeah.
We're in the worst. You haven't got anything to worry. You're in the middle of the world. We're on the end of the world. Not forgetting.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's your thoughts about what do you think realistically is going to happen in this Test match? What do you think is going to happen?
I think a result is possible. Like I said in the beginning, I think it's still pretty much in the balance. Hopefully, India are able to put up a target of around 240, 250, which I think should be enough despite Joe Root's form, because the pitch is going to become difficult to bat. It's not going to become easy. There are footmarks that are already developing, and hopefully the Indian bowlers come to the party in the second innings, and law of averages also has to catch up with Joe Root at some point of time in the series. So hopefully India bat well tomorrow and then take it from there.
All right. Maybe the significance of the 75th anniversary and anniversary itself will be significant. Maybe that might play into. I'm joking in a way. No, I'm not joking. I think sometimes you need inspiration on a day to do well. I think the amount of pride in some of those Indian players is immense. I'm desperately wanting Kohli to succeed, Gil. I'm desperately wanting Kohli to succeed.
Everyone is because and there will be no greater inspiration for him than Joe Root scoring 2 successive hundreds. That is the biggest inspiration.
If Kohli gets out cheaply tomorrow, he's not in danger of losing his position. We know that, but he'll be pretty demoralised. Won't he?
Yeah, that might be the case.
All right, Gil, I'll let you go. If it's already past your bedtime.
Yeah.
All right, thanks,
Okay.
Gil, for coming on. I appreciate it big time.
Okay.
See you on the next tomorrow anytime. Either before or
Hopefully tomorrow.
after. Okay. All right, take care.
Bye.
Ciao. All right, everyone. You've got me now. We have to stop Anderson. Yeah, we have to stop. We should have stopped Root. He was the more important one to stop. Another KL 100 loading. Let's hope. I hope that. Of course, I want Sharma and Rahul to bat well and start the innings off very well. But I also want to see Pujara, Rahane, and Kohli stand up tomorrow, and not hopefully rely on the. Imagine if India lost a couple of early wickets to the openers, for example. That would put a lot of pressure on that order they have to step up. Tomorrow is the day we have to see the likes of Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane step up and take some charge of this match and show their wares, because they're one or two of those positions are on the line. Rahane's and possibly Pujara's. Certainly not Kohli, but Pujara to an extent, but Rahane without a doubt will be in some danger. Overton, you think Sam Curran was I think it's a bit under. Sam Curran may be taken out of the side. When Chris Wokes comes back next test, he may replace Sam Curran. That may be true. Do or die for Pujara and Rahane. I think that I agree with that. I think it is very much a do or die for those two. They're going to have to take some sort of lead in that situation, and it's not looking very good for those two. I think they're going to the pressure is going to be enormous. Probably on the whole Indian batting lineup, really, not just those two. It's a rather reflected by the amount of people that are interested in this broadcast tonight. We've got a fair bit of a downer at the moment. Pitch will remain the same, or we can see some variation tomorrow. The pitch is going to gradually wear and tear more and more, without a doubt. And he scores quick tomorrow. Yeah, they're going to not only score quickly, they're going to not lose wickets, and they're going to bat well. It's getting us total 250. Or that 250, 270 is going to be an interesting score to get on the last day. Let's hope 250 should be enough. They're going to need 300 to make that. Yes, happy 75th birthday, India. Happy Independence Day as well. Great. 75 years. That's a long time, isn't it? 75 years is a long, long time. So it was what, 46, 51? Yeah, 1946. 75 years. Wow. It's amazing. That's a long time now. Say the game and score accordingly. Yeah, well, that's true that we needed it. Ash would have made a difference on this. He certainly would have. Is it a draw or will it be a victory? I think there'll be still a victory. Somehow I've got a feeling there's going to be a victory, especially if the weather's fine. Yes, that's right, Norman. Today is Independence Day. I'm aware of that. I asked you yesterday, Norman, will Root cross 150? You did, and he actually did, didn't he? I was overly impressed by that. How much old is Australia? Australia's 1788, I think, was the year that we were so-called a country. Well, no, it was actually 1900 we were a country, but in terms of our settlement there was 1788, which is what, 240 years or thereabouts. What is that? That's 212. 1770, I think it was 250 at one, actually. I don't know the rule of umpire call. Root is absolutely plumb. Now, he looked pretty plumb. Ashwin might not bowl best better. Yeah, it's a pity that he's not there. At the moment, statistically, Root is ranked higher, and with Williamson and Kohli, yes. Root's had a magnificent year. He's also scored 90. At the moment, he has to be. But Kohli's still right up there, don't worry. Happy anniversary. Yep, I agree with that. This is a flat, slow pitch. We'll have to give more overs to bowl the fourth innings. Well, let's hope. Let's not hope. Bumrah bowled so many no balls. Yeah, he wasn't at his best today. And they need more than 250. They need 250 at least lead, which is 276. What's the lead? 280, I think it is. They'll need to have that as a lead because I don't think the actual totaling is exactly that. Been rather quiet, guys. Siraj always bowls with Braveheart, pick of the bowlers for me at both sides. I think Siraj certainly did look good. I thought he could have taken more wickets, though. Interestingly, he didn't. Yeah, we've got not many people on. So will India bowlers be tired? And I think they certainly will be. Jimmy gets a nasty blow. He did, but I don't think he's injured. What's your opinion on the foes thrown, on the fans thrown? I talked about it in the video. If you looked at my video, I think it was disgraceful. Hopefully those people were rejected because it was irresponsible no matter what the circumstance was. The Corks, there were a number of them. It wasn't just one. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Whether it was deliberately out of play or not doesn't matter. It was on the field. They should be fined and banned. Yeah, they did. Anything's possible. I think they'll get it. Don't worry. It's probably the next three batters are where the crucial nature of Indians' innings will come. Pujara, Rahane have to stand up tomorrow, and Kohli. Yeah, the game's not over yet, by any means. It's a good start, they do. Did you expect England to fight back that hard? No, I didn't. If India can somehow play in some way, we'll have a decent chance. Yeah, I agree. What are the approach to Pujara? Bat as they normally are, but bat with confidence. Kohli was 8-2-6. Yeah, Kohli's now starting to realise he needs to step up. He's been a great captain. Record, as I said, some 63 test matches, a 59% record. He's well worthy of being in that position at the moment. I think, yeah, that's off. I'm just uploading a certain Bairstow had a media conference. He's Bairstow certainly would be buoyant. Bairstow would certainly be buoyant when he would have to be, you would imagine. What's going on here? There we are, okay. 661. So this is we've had some 661 videos have gone out there. 444 have been recorded and 217 live. It's quite proud of that. Ask questions, guys. Let's ask questions. India have to be careful. Anderson's opening spell, yes. Jose Root was absolute masterclass, absolutely. If India looks for a decent fight, then we need Robert Wright point until 2:30 hours, and at least, yeah, that's true. What's your thought on the day pitch, fall pitch? Will it be flat? It'll be certainly slow. Uneven bounce will certainly come into play. There's no doubt that will be a major factor in the game. It started already that way. There's a lot to be said about that. And I think that it's going to become increasingly hard to bat. Today was a very good day for batting. I think it'll be somewhat good tomorrow, but it'll become less and less so as time goes on. So, yeah. Yeah, Bairstow certainly. There's a lot of accolades being given to Bairstow. Bairstow as well as obviously Root. Root's 180 was just amazing. There's no doubt about that. You have to applaud him for that. Really, it was a great performance. Absolutely wonderful performance by Root, and he was supported by Bairstow very well with these 57. They held the team very much together at the beginning of the match, without any doubt. It was certainly a major factor in that part of the innings. You've got to give credit to that, I must say. Just bear with me a sec, guys. I'm just updating a few things as we speak. Something to get hold of. Was that there? No, it was uploaded there. It's all good. Yeah, it's been a rather remarkable day in the scheme of things, that's for sure. And with Johnny Bairstow, he should be a regular side. Ollie Pope's probably lost his opportunity now. He was probably a bit on the outer there. I wasn't very impressed with Ollie Pope, nor was I very impressed with the likes of Lawrence. They weren't impressive. Both of them were not impressive at all to me. And I think that was a good selection to bring Bairstow in, don't you think? Bairstow's selection has been immense. Owen Ali, done pretty good so far as well. He didn't get many runs, but he looks more the goods there, I would argue. So let's see what the story is there. Yeah, the Johnny Bairstow interview will be interesting to see what he had to say. The English crowds, a lot to be spoken about there. That really disappointed me, I tell you. Absolutely disappointed me. All right, so look, some questions. If Mayan's a good replacement for Pujara if he fails again, I think Mayan will certainly be in the side. And more importantly for Rahane. The weather forecast, Chowdhury is going to be perfectly fine. Thanks for the show, love it. Okay, well, my pleasure. No, he might will be given a rope to South Africa till he made 49. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Pujara may be the one that's been right. There's a lot of discussion about Rahane being the one. Yeah, Ashwin was a bit of a missing link there. I mentioned that. What target India will I be aiming to draw a test? They're going to attempt to bat as much as tomorrow as possible, and therefore score 250 plus because they're going to need to. Well, they should go for a victory though. They shouldn't play conservatively. That's my only thoughts there. They should try to make sure they actually do play with an intention to win. They must have that attitude. And with Rishabh Pant flooding around, they certainly will. All right. If Pujara doesn't score at this innings, do you think they're going to? I'm personally suggesting that they've been picked for this series and be there for the majority of the series. That was my initial attitude. It hasn't really changed, but the pressure's certainly on. Why was a light roller used for India, whereas a heavy roller was used before for England? I don't know. I don't know why there would be anything different there. The batting side opts which roller to use before each inning. That's true. That's true. We haven't exactly got the same numbers we normally have with this. I understand it. It starts to wear and tear you. All right, guys, I'm going to consider leaving soon because it's been a long day for me. So I've been on almost 2 hours now. In fact, it's just ticking over 2 hours now. I'd like to thank you for the time that you've had tonight. I appreciate everybody that's involved. If you're viewing the show and you're not subscribing, I'm very disappointed because that's a hallmark of my thing is to actually have you subscribe. What was a lot? Okay. Shami looked off colours today, leaked a lot of runs. So did Bumrah to an extent as well. I don't think it wasn't just simply Shami. I thought Siraj was particularly good though. I thought Siraj was generally very good. Yep. Okay, is equally poised now. If they're top order for tomorrow, yeah. I think a result will happen, although it's evenly poised. On what basis did Coldick drop from the Test squad? On what basis was Washington picked for the England tour? Good question. Coldick hasn't been in form for some time. Let's be really honest with you. And Washington have been a bit sounder, so it's an understandable selection, to be honest. Rough creating to Jason. Yeah. If any top order fails, we've talked about already. Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, back at the beginning, I thought that was the right selection, but now Ashwin's becoming a needed player. No, that's true. It doesn't deteriorate as much, you're right, but it still deteriorates. There's no one more dangerous bowler than Dave Ford. He will be, yes. His match is equally poised. Yeah, I agree with that. What score would be a safe score? I mean, 250 plus for sure. Shami is unusual. Nobody, it was not the day. England 5 to India. That's a bit like that. I think more than sad to see Siraj missing his 5 for. Yeah, that was a real disappointment. I thought that was a distinct disappointment. It would have been nice to see him get it. Yeah, I agree totally. Absolutely. Coldick. Yeah, Collins is a very interesting one. I don't know what's happened there, but he's gone right off. Sad to see miss his 5. Yes, I agree. I think Shami is a bit off colour. Yeah, he got the last wicket though. But yeah, it would have been nice for Siraj to have got the 5 wickets, especially at Lords who have been on this board. That's a huge deal. We know that. We know that's a huge deal. All right, guys. I've been on for 2 hours. I do appreciate your time. I think I might finish a bit earlier today. It's Norman Kochnick here. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. You'll see where I'm at. Norman Kochnick. You can both go to my Instagram, my Twitter. You go to my YouTube channel, which you're on now, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and share it to all your friends on WhatsApp, whether it's social media, Instagram, or Facebook Messenger, or even just normal email. Last point is that Punt will be expected second. We would hope so, but it needs more than just him. It needs Pujara, Rahane, Kohli also to step up. All right, guys, all the best. Have a nice night.